My ex-wife demanded $9,500 a month in alimony, claiming anxiety, until I proved she was funding her boyfriend's lifestyle. The courtroom went silent. And what happened next shocked everyone. Hello Reddit plus here. So I'm a 37-year-old architect, and 3 months ago I was standing in a courtroom watching my ex-wife Lydia sob into a tissue and tell the judge she was too emotionally fragile to work. According to her, our divorce had left her in a state of constant panic, and she needed time and financial breathing room to heal. According to the judge, I now owed her $9,500 every month so she could rebuild her life. Meanwhile, I was sitting there in a cheap suit, wondering how I was supposed to pay her rent and mine while she lived in a high-rise apartment overlooking the river. Lydia's attorney painted her as the delicate, heartbroken spouse of a cold, obsessive workaholic. They said I stifled her ambitions, discouraged her career, and made her dependent. It was surreal, because during our 6-year marriage, I was the one paying for her online courses, her cameras, her laptop, and even her social media marketing certification. She'd wanted to become a branding consultant for small businesses, so I literally funded the entire thing. I thought I was supporting her dream. Turns out I was just financing her next phase with another man. About a year before the split, Lydia started spending a lot of time consulting with a guy named Ryan, who ran a luxury watch brand on Instagram. She said they were collaborating professionally, but one night, her phone lit up with a text from him that read, "Can't wait to see you in that dress again tonight." That's when I knew. By the time I filed for divorce, she'd already moved into Ryan's apartment, a place that cost more than my entire mortgage. Still, during court proceedings, she swore she was living alone, barely scraping by, and too anxious to handle professional work environments. Her financial affidavit claimed she had no income, $400 in savings, and $2,000 in monthly expenses for therapy, medication, and self-care. The judge bought it, every word. I remember transferring that first $9,500 alimony payment 2 weeks after the ruling. Watching that much money vanish from my account felt like someone gut-punched me. I was working late nights just to afford my own rent. Meanwhile, Lydia was supposedly focusing on her mental health, but something about her performance didn't sit right. You see, Lydia had always been addicted to attention, especially online. Even though she blocked me, one of my friends still followed her public wellness account. And there she was, posting vacation reels. Paris, Santorini, Miami, caption after caption about healing energy, self-love, and new beginnings. One post showed her in a luxury spa sipping champagne, tagged at a resort that charges $800 a night. Another had her eating sushi off a gold tray with Ryan right next to her, half his face visible in the reflection of her wine glass. So much for crippling anxiety. I decided to investigate. I called up a private investigator named Diana Holt, a 50-something ex-cop who didn't do small talk. When I told her my situation, she just said, "If she's lying, I'll find it." I paid $1,800 up front, almost 2 weeks' worth of groceries for me at that point, and she got to work. Within a few days, Diana sent me photos. Lydia wasn't housebound with anxiety. She was brunching at rooftop restaurants, shopping at designer stores, and driving a Mercedes GLC that wasn't listed anywhere in her court papers. Diana tailed her for 3 weeks. The reports read like something out of a soap opera. $1,200 spent on a self-care retreat at a 5-star spa, $900 dinner for 2 at a steakhouse, $3,400 at a luxury boutique, all on her credit card, a trip to Cabo with Ryan, staying in an oceanfront villa. And then came the kicker. Lydia was still working, under the table. Diana found invoices from 3 different small businesses paying her between $2,000 and $3,500 a month for digital branding services. None of it had been disclosed to the court. Armed with that evidence, I went back to my lawyer. We compiled everything: receipts, photos, video stills, screenshots of her invoices, even proof that she'd signed up for a new business credit card listing an income of $85,000 a year. Perjury. Black and white. We filed a motion to terminate alimony based on fraud, plus a request for reimbursement of every payment I'd made. Lydia must have caught wind of it because suddenly she called me out of nowhere. First time I'd heard her voice in months. She said, "Can't we just work something out privately? I'll take less money, maybe $5,000 a month, and we'll both move on." I laughed. She didn't. I told her to speak to my attorney and hung up. The hearing was set for a Friday morning. Lydia showed up dressed like she'd been plucked from a minimalist fashion ad. Pale cardigan, no makeup, hair tied back. Ryan wasn't there. Her lawyer looked like he hadn't slept in days. My lawyer went first. He presented Diana's report like a Netflix documentary. Chronological, detailed, ruthless. Photos of Lydia at exclusive clubs, receipts for hotel stays, payment records from clients she never disclosed, and finally the credit card application with the fabricated income. The courtroom was silent, except for the sound of paper shuffling. Then my lawyer dropped the final bomb, a screenshot of Lydia's email to a client, dated just 3 weeks before her last "I'm too anxious to work" court testimony. In it, she bragged, "Business is booming, finally living my best life." I swear the judge's eyebrows hit the ceiling. Lydia's lawyer tried to argue that Ryan had paid for most of her lifestyle, not the alimony, but my attorney countered perfectly. Even if that's true, it proves she's financially supported, and therefore doesn't need my client's payments. When Lydia took the stand, she started crying, said the photos were taken out of context, said she was trying to find herself, said she didn't realize she had to disclose freelance income. The judge was having none of it. He leaned forward and said, "Ms. Porter, this court does not take kindly to deceit. You testified under oath." Then came the ruling, and it was glorious. The judge terminated alimony effective immediately, ordered Lydia to repay $19,000 in overpayments, and referred the case for possible perjury review. The look on her face when that gavel hit, worth every cent I'd spent. She tried to appeal, but it didn't go anywhere. Turns out, once a judge has documented proof of your lies, there's not much left to argue. Ryan dumped her a few months later. I heard through mutual friends. Apparently, luxury living is less fun when the money dries up. As for me, I've rebuilt, moved into a small apartment near the lake, started dating again. Someone honest, someone grounded. Every time I see that $9,500 stay in my account on the 15th of the month, I smile, because in the end, the truth didn't just set me free. It bankrupted her lies. So, after the judge terminated Lydia's alimony and ordered her to repay me $19,000, I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Apparently, Lydia isn't the kind of person who accepts consequences quietly. 2 weeks after the ruling, I got a certified letter from her new lawyer. She'd filed a motion for reconsideration, claiming I had emotionally coerced her during our marriage and that her mental health relapse made her previous lies unintentional. She even attached a new therapist's letter from a counselor she'd only been seeing for 10 days, claiming Lydia was in a fragile emotional state and that revisiting the court decision could prevent further psychological harm. Basically, she was trying to turn her fraud into a sob story. Her new angle, the victim narrative. The motion was pure drama. It read like something out of a bad TV script. She claimed that I had gaslit her into underreporting income, that I had pressured her to appear strong online, because apparently I'm the reason she posted vacation photos, and that I had manipulated her through financial intimidation. My attorney read it, laughed, and said, "She's throwing spaghetti at the wall. None of this sticks." Still, we had to respond formally. So we filed a counter motion, attaching everything Lydia conveniently left out: the timeline of her lies, the PI report, the fake credit card applications, and the fact that she'd perjured herself under oath. We also included screenshots from after the verdict, because Lydia couldn't help herself. Within a week of losing her alimony, she was back on Instagram, posting champagne toasts in Dubai with the caption, "You can't keep a queen down for long. Your new chapter diaksha grateful." That post alone undid every word of her fragile mental health argument. The second hearing, round 2, the court granted her a short hearing to review her motion. It was supposed to be procedural, just the judge deciding whether her claims even merited consideration. Lydia showed up looking the part again. Black turtleneck, messy bun, glasses she didn't need. The moment she walked in, she started crying. The judge, same one as before, thank God, looked unimpressed. When he asked her to explain her request, Lydia launched into a performance that could have won her an Oscar. She said I'd humiliated her publicly, that the private investigator had violated her privacy, and that she'd been bullied into making financial mistakes. She even brought up our marriage again, trying to paint me as emotionally abusive. Apparently, asking where our money was going is now considered controlling behavior. But here's where her plan backfired, spectacularly. My lawyer stood up and calmly said, "Your Honor, since Ms. Porter has chosen to revisit her financial situation, we'd like to submit supplemental evidence of her recent activities." Then he handed over fresh screenshots. Just 3 days earlier, Lydia had tagged herself at a luxury influencer retreat in Bali. She was listed as a guest speaker for a digital marketing panel. Her biography on the event website literally said, "Lydia Porter, branding consultant and motivational entrepreneur helping women find financial freedom." The courtroom went dead silent. The judge took one long look at the page, then slowly turned to Lydia. Ms. Porter, are you suggesting you are too emotionally unstable to work while simultaneously promoting yourself as a motivational entrepreneur? Lydia froze. Then she said, in the smallest voice imaginable, that's just social media branding. The judge raised an eyebrow. Understood. Motion denied gavel. Bang. Game over. Again. Her last-ditch attempt. After that, she switched strategies. She started messaging me directly. Texts, emails, even a handwritten letter. At first, it was all, I just want closure. Then, you destroyed my life. Then, can we meet one last time as adults to talk? I ignored every message. When she realized silence was the only response she'd get, she switched gears again, posting vague stories online about her toxic ex who weaponized the legal system. Her followers ate it up for a while, until one of them commented, "Didn't you just post about hosting a business retreat in Thailand last week?" That thread got ugly fast. Her narrative fell apart in real time. Within a month, her account went private, and her consulting business website went down. I later learned from a mutual acquaintance that she was being audited for undisclosed income. Apparently, the court forwarded her case file to the state's financial crimes unit. Now, I sleep better. I'm not angry anymore, just relieved. Lydia tried every manipulation in the book, emotional, financial, legal, digital, and none of it stuck because the truth always had receipts. When I tell people what happened, they always ask if I regret hiring the investigator. Not for a second. That $1,800 saved me from years of debt and misery. And honestly, the moment the judge denied her motion, and she realized her performance had failed for good, that was the sweetest silence I've ever heard.